When I was a young man, my parents divorced. I was three, and subsequently, my mom they moved out of state, moved to Texas, and got a house, had a pool. We weren't rich; it wasn't a big house, and it wasn't a huge pool, but it was in ground. And one thing that I figured out at a young age was that these pools they need to circulate the water, right? That's one way to circulate the chemicals that keep the pool clean, and you remove debris and whatnot. And so there's little jets, kind of like what you would find in a like a hot tub jet, very powerful jet spray. And I found that if I leaned up, and it was very young, kind of a prepubescent penis, but if I pressed my swim trunks up against that jet spray, it had an arousing effect. And, it's just a curious piece of knowledge I had at a young age that, yeah, that kind of felt good. So if no one was looking around, sometimes I'd kind of press myself up against the water jet. Now, so far so good. I mean, that information by itself, I think, is fairly harmless, and I suspect I'm not alone in that regard. But it was the case that one summer, this is advancing a few years, so let me think. I would have been 11 or 12 at this point. My mom said, "Hey, we're gonna go visit your cousins. We're gonna go visit your cousins," and they lived in a community about an hour south of Houston. And my cousins, the it was my mother's sister. Okay, my mother's sister. Well, her husband, so I guess I called him Uncle David. He he'd done well for himself. He worked at, I think, Monsanto Chemical Company, and they had a really nice house and a really nice community. It was kind of a specialty community. I can't remember what the name of it was offhand. Again, this is going back a ways, but I do remember they had a community pool, big community pool. And so one day, my cousins, two cousins, and said, "Hey, Rich, you want to go swimming?" So we went out there, and it was a giant thing. It was big and L-shaped. And one time when we were swimming, I kind of noticed it had thinned out. It was towards the end. I wasn't really keeping track of the time, but kind of in one of the L shapes, the legs, it was all kind of, to my surprise, empty. I mean, this thing was big. The L shape itself was, could have accommodated a lot of people. It could have functioned as its own independent pool, but it seemed like everyone was on this other leg. And so it occurred to me, I thought, God, it's been a few years. I haven't been in the pool, but, I might give that old information I got a few years ago, that whole jet thing, I might give that thing a try. But I thought this is going to be a little awkward. So my plan on this, the solution was, I'm going to go kind of like, I'm going to be cool about it. I'm going to be cool. I'm going to go relax up on the edge of the pool like I'm just chilling. I'm chilling. And I'm just going to make sure that I kind of adjust the height in such a way that my I don't hate using the word penis. It's so clinical. I'll just say cock. I hope that doesn't get me in trouble. That my cock was kind of, I had my boxers, I had the swim trunks, swim boxing shorts, but I was going to have it so it's kind of oriented in the correct way. But this was a very powerful jet stray, very powerful jet stray. So every time the jet stray would sort of hit my member, my organ, the cock, it would bounce it. It would kind of force it left to right. Be kind of like if you had a rubber ball and you tried to poke it with a fork, it just keeps kind of moving. So I'm like, damn it. I kept thinking that increased pressure could really probably be a pretty fantastic sensation, but it only works if I can isolate and immobilize the cock. So what I did is I thought, well, no one's really around and everyone's over on this side of the pool. So I thought, well, I'll still have the cool look going. Instead of my hands like this, I'll just kind of balance up with one. I'll have one hand down here, kind of, and I'll use that hand to kind of mobilize it. So essentially, yeah, that was the look. I'm kind of holding, pretending to relax, and I held my cock in place up against this jet spray, and it felt really good. It felt really good. And I don't know. There might have been a little humpy action. I can't really remember. I wasn't consciously thinking of humping, but it might have. At any rate, all of a sudden, I'm so kind of focused in my days. I hear this, "Hey, Richard," and I'm like, "What?" Look around, and I'm thinking I'm covered. I'm cool, right? So whoever it is over here. So I look up and I was saying, Richard, behind you. So I turned around. I'm like, what? Well, I didn't realize it. They were closing the pool down. And there was a bunch of people who weren't in the pool, but were getting ready to leave. And we're talking kids and adults, and there were probably 20 of them. And they're all standing behind me, and they've been watching me hump the damn, airflow thingy in this pool with my hand down there, gratifying it, trying to look cool. And I thought everyone's on the other side, the other part of the L shape of the pool. But in fact, there were people all around me, and they were behind me. They watched the whole thing. I was caught. So my cousins were back there, like, Richard, hurry, get out. And I, it almost defeated the point. Going, what? How'd that look? Look, guys, was that cool? Do you want to say anything? And everyone's like, we know what you're doing. Everyone knows what you're doing, Rich. So, yeah, there's no way to spin that. It's embarrassing. It's awkward, and that's the kind of story. It sticks with you for life. It's very humiliating, and sort of indicative of my childhood. Okay, all right, that's it. Take care. Bye bye.